Now that I'm going through and taking all these classes and also getting ready to become a community responder, it's time to make up the first aid kits. I'm gonna, one, live in my car all the time, and two, create an everyday carry for emergencies happen, whether you get burned, you have bleeding, trauma bleeding, or whatever you just need help with. So it's time to make up these packs. So as a disclaimer, I am not a medical professional. I am not EMS or EMT. However, I am certified in CPR, AED, which is the defibrillator. I'm also certified in overdose recognition, Narcan administration, stop the bleed, which is your trauma bleeding, whether you need to pack a wound or use a tourniquet. And also I am certified in first aid. So basically I am certified for emergency situations before EMS arrives, basically first on the scene before EMS arrives. This does not negate calling 911. The first thing you should do is call 911, then proceed to provide help. Stay on the line with 911, put your phone on speaker, talk to them as you're going through and assisting people. So I know this looks like a lot for a first aid kit, but it's actually stuff that I've been collecting over the last couple months, and also got the big bag right there that's going to live in my car. So there's two distinct piles here. One, that's going to be in the bigger bag that's going to live in the car, and that's going to be sorted and broken up into an everyday carry, because you just never know when you're going to come upon an emergency to help out. Plus, also, as we're getting back into adventure season, it's carry some first aid kit items with you, because you never know when something's going to happen, especially if you're out in the woods alone and you got to treat a cut, you got to treat a bleed, you get stung by something, or you get burned over by the campfire. So it's good to actually have a first aid kit with you. So that's what these are. These are actually two first aid kits. One bigger one to treat if I come on a scene like a car accident, and then one that I can carry every day with me to better prepare myself in case something happens, or if I run into somebody in the woods who suffered a cut, got scraped up. Now, I will also leave a list of all the items that are packed into my first aid kits in the description. This is not, by all means, a definitive list, but this is very comprehensive to handle most situations. So the other thing you want to have also with you is a high-vis jacket. This way here, people can see you as you're responding. And the reason why you want to have one of these is because a lot of times you may come upon a situation at night, so you want to be seen and not actually be a victim of any accidents or injuries yourself. This way here, people will see that on the scene, will see you more readily. A high-vis jacket is either yellow or green, and also consists of reflective stripes. So remember, make sure that you are properly trained before you administer any help. There are Good Samaritan laws that will protect you. However, if you are properly trained and have your certifications, you will be further protected under Good Samaritan laws. So, and not only that, training is necessary to properly use devices such as a tourniquet. Training is also necessary to use AED devices and administer CPR properly to save someone's life. And it also is good to know how to pack a wound in case it is necessary. So some of you might be asking about hemostats, the scissors that actually lock and clamp, and why I did not include those in my kit. There are basically two reasons for that. One, those are used to extract items from a wound. And two, they're also used to clamp off arteries in the surgical room. When you're on the scene as a first responder before EMS arrives, you are not going to be removing any items from the wound other than, let's say, a splinter. The reason being is you can cause more harm by trying to remove a bullet, trying to remove a piece of rebar, trying to remove a piece of metal. All your training tells you to do is to leave it, pack it, and wrap around it. Let the surgeons deal with removing it, because you don't want to cause it any more harm with trying to remove such an item. Same thing with trying to remove an item from an eye. Place an eye patch over it, bandage it so it can't get further, and then actually let EMS take care of it. Same thing with trying to clamp off an artery. Number one, you don't have time. Number two, trying to find the exact artery that you're going to clamp off. Not only that, arteries are elastic. So what happens is when an artery gets severed, it actually retracts back. So trying to find that artery, you're better off just packing it and stopping the bleed. So I don't include hemostats in my kit. Okay, so now let's get into talking about bags. If you order from a company like MyMedic or a few other companies out there, Stealth Angel and other ones that provide these medical kits already made up, you're going to find that the bags that come with them are very well sorted. They have multiple pockets. You know, you may just have to rearrange a few things, and those are great. But if you're like me, who made up my own kits, I want to talk about what not to do for bags. So you may have been someone who's going to either Dollar Tree, CVS, Walmart, or a few other places, bought your own gauze, your own band-aids, your own pads, gone to a class and bought your own tourniquet, the mods that they have already made up for trauma bleeding and all that. The reason why a lot of people make up their own kits is one, specialized to them for what they have for their training, and two, it's a little more cost effective to build your kit over time versus going out and spending $200 to $300 to buy a kit that's already made up by like MyMedic and all those other ones. Not only that, a lot of these companies that are out there you don't know where they're sourcing their supplies from, so you don't know the quality of it. You know, there are reputable companies out there that you need to research, but I made up my own kit based on the training that I've had, based on watching videos and what to carry from reputable sources. So I'm going to talk to you now about the bags to store and carry your stuff in. I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts when picking out a bag. So the first bag you might want to think is a backpack, something that, you know, you can take hiking out in the woods and everything. But if this is going to be your main medic pack, backpack you choose has to have a lot of pockets. The problem is a lot of your so-called day packs or school backpacks. Now this happens to be my day hiking backpack. That's why it has a whistle and a knife and some other supplies in here. But one of the problems with these type of backpacks, like you find at REI, Walmart, and all other places, is they do not have the pockets necessary to carry all your equipment. Yes, it looks great that they have large pockets in them, but the problem you're going to find is they are lacking in pockets. The pockets they have are very large, so you can fit a lot of things. But when you're in an emergency situation and you open this up, do you want to be fishing through a large pocket such as that, such as this, or one of these other ones looking for your supplies? You know, you need to have quick access, know exactly where everything is. You don't want to be opening this up and fumbling around, what's in here, what's buried, what's stacked on top of each other. So a day pack or backpack is not the type of bag to have, not your typical ones. Like I said, there are specialty ones out there that you can get. Another bag you might be thinking about getting would be a sling bag such as this. Now, this happens to be my fishing bag, but they're pretty much all made the same. So you might be thinking, this is quick, an emergency, grab it out of the car, throw it over my shoulder, and be on my way to that emergency. Same thing, the problem with this. A lot of these sling bags, they have large, oversized pockets in them. So your equipment is, and your emergency gear is not going to be sorted. Take a look at my trout fishing stuff in here. It's all piled in on top of each other. I had to fish around in here. You start fishing around, things start falling out. They'll get dirty, they'll get lost. A lot of these are actually, this one because it's my fishing bag's been well used, so the zippers are starting to wear out on it. You know, it just has these large pockets all over the place, which is not good for sorting. So what I did was I went and picked out a bag specifically for me. Same thing with your large duffel bags. You know, you got a lot of room, but again, everything's all going to be jumbled up in there. You're going to be fishing through and sorting. So I had to decide on a specialty bag for me, and I've got two of them behind me. The first one I'm going to go through is the bag that I bought that's going to live primarily in my vehicle. And let me show you how that's sorted. So this bag right here, now I'm not sponsored by anybody. This is just happened to be a bag that I had found over at a place called Surplus Provisions, which is a tactical shop that specializes in tactical gear, military gear, also specializes in gun gear, outdoor gear. So this here is actually a range bag for going to the shooting range. Now what I did was on the Velcro on the front, I put some patches on here. This one happens to say med, and this one happens to have a cross on it. So right closer to show you that. The reason why I went with the patches on here is because this is a range bag. Law enforcement might recognize this as a range bag, and I did not want them to think that I was actually carrying a firearm in here and then go through all the questioning of where's my LTC license, you know, why do I have a firearm, am I going to the range or whatever. So that's why I put the patches on here, but this range bag actually worked out perfect for me. So I want to go through and show you everything in here real quick. Okay, so let's go through. So one thing I liked about it, this bag is actually made by a company called Savior. The carrying handle on it is very thick, very padded, so it will not hurt my shoulder. It has a lot of pockets. Undo the top strap here. Here you can see it has a molly panel, so I can hook things in here that I want to carry and have right on the top, but I don't have anything mounted right now. It has dual zipper designs. Now, the thing with the dual zipper is you want to have your zippers in the center position. You don't want to have them around the side because you don't want to be fishing for them. They're right here in the center. I can just grab the two tabs real quick and open it up. So let me go through the compartments of this bag. So in the front compartment here, it has a pocket right here, which I'm not making use of right now. The reason being is I felt it was kind of tight when I packaged everything up. So I kind of left that open. It has another zippered pocket right here. In this pocket, I unzip it. In this pocket right here, I have a plastic bag that has all my gloves in it, my nitrile gloves. This looks like regular duct tape. They call it medical tape, but it's triple duct tape, which you can use to tape down things, tape gauze on people, tape a chest vent if needed. Up front also I have my markers. So what I liked about this is it had these compartments right here that I can actually put things in. So I got markers in here to mark my tourniquet, to mark the time that it was actually placed on a person. Here I have my tweezers in case I need to remove like any splinters. I have two pairs of shears for cutting bandages or cutting clothes if I need to. This right here is my headlamp. A lot of times you're going to come upon an emergency situation. It's going to be at night, especially traffic accidents. A lot of them happen at night. So it's nice to have a headset so that I can just put this on and still have my hands free and go ahead and turn it on. One thing I will tell you about a headset is you want to get one that is about 300 to 500 lumens or less. You don't want one of the super bright ones because you don't want to be kind of like blinding anybody as you're working on them. You just want enough light to be able to see into your pack and be able to see what you're doing hands-free. And then in this pack right here is also what's called an NPA, which is a French 28 gauge. NPA stands for nasal passage airway. This is a tube that you would insert into a nasal passage that would help keep the tongue from sliding in the back of your mouth and keep the airway open. I pray I never have to use that, but it's something that I have just in case. Side pockets, I have my wound wash. Basically, this is for boo-boos. This is not for trauma bleeding. This is actually just to like clean a wound if somebody got scraped or a minor cut before you apply a bandage. I also have some hand sanitizing gel. This is mostly for me to clean up myself of any blood or anything I might have got on myself. You would not want to apply this to a patient or victim. This is mostly for cleanup of myself afterwards. Alcohol based to kill any germs that I might have gotten on me. Pocket right here. These are all my splints. So I have finger splints, and I also have popsicle sticks if I need to brace a finger and splint a larger finger. This is also an eye patch, so if somebody gets something in their eye, you want to go ahead and put this over the eye and then bandage it and hold it in place around them. You do not want to remove anything from anybody's eyes. And actually, as I mentioned before, why I don't carry hemostats or pliers or anything is because you are not going to be removing anything from the victims. That's for your surgical teams once they get into the hospital. You're just going to bandage over it to stop the bleeding and to hopefully keep that item stable. Moving on to this side, this one here, I have Benadryl, or generic form Benadryl, which will help with allergy attacks. You know, if somebody happens to get stung by something and they're allergic, or they have an allergic reaction to something, generally you don't want to be administering medication to anybody, but you know, if somebody's going into anaphylactic and they need that, Benadryl is kind of harmless. I also have other things in here which I would probably not administer to someone, but just in case, I have 10 aspirin tablets. If you're coming across somebody who's having a chest pains or heart attacks and they're still conscious, give them 1 or 2 aspirins. The reason being is studies have shown that it actually helps because it is an anticoagulant and also somewhat of a blood thinner. They keep going back and forth on whether aspirin is a good regimen, but in the course of a heart attack, like when I had my heart attacks, I took aspirin right away, and the EMT was like, "We're glad you took the aspirin because that will help you." I also have non-aspirin tablets and antacid to treat heartburn. But like I said, most of the time I will not be administering medication to anyone, with the exception of these. This right here is Narcan, or goes by the actual brand name of non-layex 1 hydrochloride. We just call it Narcan for short. This is to help in a drug overdose. This will not take the drugs out of a person's system. You should really be trained on how to administer it and why. Basically what it does is it blocks the receptors in the brain from the effects of the drug and helps restore breathing. That's its only purpose. But in a drug overdose, this can be life-saving to restore breathing. So that's why I am trained in Narcan, and I do have it on me. Again, it's one of those situations that I'm trained for, but pray never have to use it. It's better to be trained and not use it than to have an emergency and not know what to do. Moving on to this pocket. Again, everything's all centered. Here, I have my various tapes and compression tape. Again, this is not for trauma bleeding. This is more or less for your larger cuts, a little bit bigger than what we would call boo-boos, your minor cuts, your scrapes, and everything. So that's to help hold the gauze in place. Moving on to the big top pocket. So in here, this pocket right here up top is where I have things like Q-tips if I was going to administer any triple antibiotic ointment or burn cream, cotton to clean minor cuts, and also plastic Ziploc bags to collect my trash because I don't want to leave that in anywhere. I want to properly dispose of it. And also to put things like my shears or my tweezers that may need to be cleaned after administering. Now, I also saved these bags that my kits came in. These I bought already made up, just so that I can quickly know if I use one of these trauma kits, what to resupply on. Not only that, if you go through Stop the Bleed training and you don't have a chest vent for if somebody got shot in the chest or in the abdomen, they will train you about how to actually apply this and tape it down. It will be somewhat effective like a chest vent, but not fully effective. It will be just enough to help the air from getting into the chest and causing any problems with like collapsed lungs or air in the chest. So this is like makeshift. It will work. This gets more into the tactical side of things, but they do tell you about it and Stop the Bleeding. Even a potato chip bag will work, a plastic bag, just something to cover that wound, because you cannot pack the chest and you cannot provide a tourniquet to the chest. Like I said, I really like this pack because of the number of pockets that are in here. So now we're going to move on to the big compartment. What I like about this is this had a big area up here that I could put stuff. I do have a few loose items in here just because they do not fit in the pockets that I'm going to go over. So I've got extra gauze for if I need to have quick access and immediately pack a wound. I have my cat tourniquet. You want to have cat, not rats. And there's many videos to go over why you want to have a cat tourniquet. I also have a instant cold pack. Now, instant cold pack you're really not going to use. They say this is one of like the least items you need in an emergency situation. This would be probably good if maybe somebody had bumped their head and they just have like a large egg on their head that swelled up but they're not bleeding or something along that nature. But typically you're not really going to use your cold pack. So one of the things I liked about this is it came with these padded pouches. These are meant to carry your firearm in. They're also padded so that you can lay your firearm down at a gun range on top of it so it not get scratched up. But what I liked about this bag, and the reason why I got it, is because number one, it came with these and they are padded, so anything I put in here will be kind of protected. Number two, they also came with this Velcro label that I can replace on the front that I could actually write on. So I can pull one of these packs and know exactly what's in here. I can pull it quickly, and if I need to, I can just grab this pack and go. So this one I just happen to pull out is the one, if you can read right here, this is for my large and trauma bleeding. So inside the pack I have things like my chest vents, I have more roll gauze, I have gauze padding, I have more gauze padding, I have the quick clot padding, which is actually, so the quick clot padding is actually coated with a medication that promotes clotting, which is really great for packing a wound. I have stop bleed powder. This is more or less for your in-between trauma bleeding and boo-boos. The red and white packages are the only ones that are actually certified to be able to use. So you don't want to use this on trauma bleeding where you're going to have to provide a tourniquet or pack a wound, and you don't want to use this on your boo-boos. This is like something in between. For example, I wish I had it on me because in January of this year I had cut my thumb right across here and required 4 stitches. This continued to bleed and I had to keep pressure and packing it myself while waiting in the emergency room waiting room for 4 hours before they brought me in and gave me my stitches. So it had to keep wrapping, had to keep being re-wrapped and re-pressure applied a few times over 4 hours while waiting. I wish I had the powder with me then, but I didn't because I was on a trip and I didn't have this kit ready. So that's kind of like when you would probably use it. It wasn't a trauma bleed type cut, but yet it was a little bit more than just your basic boo-boo. The next pouch, as you can see, labeled right here. This is my minor boo-boo, stings, burns, and let's say you get a blister from hiking. So this has my wipes, band-aids, and etc. And again, it's all labeled. I can just quickly grab it and go. So in here I have things like my smaller gauze pad, moleskin for blisters, tape to tape on the smaller gauze, and also my various band-aids. Then here is all my wipes for sting relief, a little bit of burn gel, alcohol wipes, antiseptic wipes, and also triple action antibiotic cream. So that's for like your minor boo-boos. Great for if you're working with kids because they're always getting scraped up when they're playing. My next pouch, this one right here, as you can read, this contains all my emergency blankets and hand warmers. So the reason why I carry emergency blankets and hand warmers is anytime your body temperature drops below 92 degrees, the average body temperature is 98.6. Me, I run a little cold myself. I'm around 96, 97 degrees so every time my temperature gets taken. But when your body temperature drops below 92 degrees, this is when hypothermia sets in. You can get hypothermia in the middle of the summer. A lot of time kids will be swimming, they'll get cold, they'll start shivering. Next thing you know, they're in a hypothermia event. It could be 80 degrees outside, but that water temperature was probably only about 60 to 75 degrees. In New England here, it's a lot colder. It could be in the 50s. So anytime you start shivering or you start feeling cold, you're at risk for hypothermia. So hypothermia can even happen in the middle of summer. Case in point, I went hunting last fall. It was in the 50s and 60s. I was probably dressed for it. I went out at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was fine all day long. I stayed out in the woods all day long. But once the sun started going down, because I had been out all day long and my body got used to being in that temperature, being all dressed up, I was no longer getting the heat from the sun. So once it started going down, it started getting dark and the temperature started slowly dropping, I started shivering. And then I got to the point that I was walking out of the woods that my teeth were chattering. I knew what to do, so I was not getting into a hypothermic situation, but I knew it was time to get out of the woods because hypothermia could set in. So what I have in here are emergency blankets. Now, emergency blankets are not meant to go camping in the middle of a snowstorm in the middle of winter, but they are great to help out in emergency situations. They are Mylar. This one just happens to be orange on the outside, but it's got the reflective material on the inside. This one here is totally reflective. You put one of these on you, it'll start reflecting your heat back to you. So this will help in a situation where somebody needs to be kept warm, whether they fell through ice and you got them dragged to shore, whether they got all wet. First thing you want to do is, I know how this is going to sound, but you're going to want to strip them entirely naked, get all their wet clothes off them, because wet clothes are going to make you colder and make you more hypothermic. So you want to strip all their wet clothes off them, get them wrapped in one of these blankets. It could be life-saving. But like I said, this is not to go camping in the middle of winter. This is just for emergency situations and keeping a person warm. I also have hand warmers in here. You do not want to put this directly on a person. Typically you want to put it in between like their clothing, or if you wrap them in a blanket, put like a piece of cloth and then put this and then put the blanket around them. This will help keep them warm in emergency. One of the things you don't realize also with trauma bleeding, as you're losing your blood, the body temperature starts going down, so hypothermia causes then. As you're losing blood, cold will kill you very fast and kill a person very fast. So you need to keep them warm even in the middle of summer in a trauma bleeding situation. So this is why I always carry emergency blankets and hand warmers to keep someone warm from getting hypothermia. So that pretty much wraps up my big pack that's going to live in my vehicle, because sometimes I work with children, you know, sometimes I might be in a work situation. I want to have a bigger pack with me, especially if I come up on a car accident where there might be multiple people that have to be treated. You know, I could be coaching one person while I'm working on one person myself. So that's where you want to go through and have a bigger pack. So there's also one more thing I want to talk about before I get into my everyday carry pack, the pack that I'm going to take with me backpacking. I can quickly throw in my wife's car if we happen to be out in her car, or I just happen to be at an event, something that I can have close by. Because like I said, when minutes count, you don't want to be running to your car. Having a big pack like this is great if I'm at a, let's say a camping situation where my vehicle is going to be close by, or I come upon a car accident and I can roll up right next to the vehicle within safe parameters, which is something totally different topic, because you don't want to get in the way of any EMS that's going to arrive, and you don't want to put your vehicle at a risk should that car that you're responding to a car accident is getting ready to explode or catch fire. But this would be quick enough, you know, within a minute or two reach. But the other thing I want to go over is the color of the packs that you pick. Now, like I said, this was a gun range pack. It's in brown canvas. With this being a heavy duty canvas material, I don't think that this pack is going to rip or break down anytime soon, or at least what I paid for it was one of the more expensive ones. I would hope it wouldn't. Probably going to worry about with your vinyl packs is over time that they will rip. You want something that's going to last you a long time. So to get into the colors, the things you do not want is, you do not want a black pack. And the reason being is, again, if you roll up on a situation or you have a situation yourself or an emergency yourself that's at night and you don't have, let's say, one of your headlights on you, problem you're going to run into is you're going to be fumbling around in a dark pack trying to find stuff. Even with a headlight, a dark pack is going to be difficult to find the materials that you need or the life-saving equipment that you need. You want to go something that's either bright yellow that other people can see if you need to get multiple people involved in helping out, or if you're coaching someone, or red. This one just happens to be canvas because, like I said, it's a tactical bag. It had the pockets that really I was able to sort out my items. So again, this brown is not an ideal color, but at the same time, it's not black. So I'm going to move on to my day pack or my everyday carry. This pack here was kind of a compromise because, like I said, I wanted something that I could carry every day, that I could throw into a backpack or attach to a backpack. Or I just wanted something smaller to take with me than my big pack. So this here was kind of a compromise. It was the best that I could actually find. Again, I've got my headlamp. I just got this. This needs to go into this pack. So one of the things I ran into was this first portion right here. It had the pockets that I wanted in it or close to it, but it ended up being a little bit too small. So I had to actually attach this other pack to it with the additional items. Now, this other pack that's up front here with additional items, the inside of it is black, so it's not ideal. So what's packed up here is more brightly colored. I have a triangular bandage. I have a pre-made up boo-boo first aid kit, wound wash, cotton balls, and cotton swabs, my antiseptic, band-aids, safety pins. Again, these are quick items for just treating boo-boos, which if you're around children, is going to be mostly what you're treating. You're not really going to have, hopefully, too many trauma bleeds with children involved. And then in this side, again, my tapes, compression bandage, moleskin, and I also have an A-strap. The reason why I have a small A-strap in here is because a lot of things you're going to be dealing with, especially with children, are going to be sprains. Where they like sprain their ankles, sprain their wrists, and you need to kind of stabilize it before EMS gets there. Hopefully you won't be dealing with any broken bones, but you can stabilize it before EMS gets there. I had to attach this to the outside because this got kind of too full. Nice thing about this is also a tactical bag. So it has, on the back of it here, it has some mollies where I can attach stuff. It has the molly straps so that I can strap it into a backpack. This, I can wear it as a fanny pack or strap it into, like, let's say a car seat. Nice thing about this is because this is a tactical bag, a hurry up and go bag, is this back panel is Velcro. I can just rip it away from whatever it's attached to, take this and go. Okay, so I'm going to get into inside. So inside my bag, this strap right here, a lot of people usually cut off because it doesn't really serve anything except for to further secure it closed. Again, my zippers are centered, so I can just quickly open it up. So like I said, this bag was a compromise for the size and style of bag it is, but it has the pockets and organization I need. This flap right here has all my boo-boo type stuff in it. And here I have things like my tapes, my antibiotic creams, my band-aids, splinter removal, sting ointments, alcohol wipes, and also some gloves. Up front, I have my finger splints, a pair of shears, splinters, my tourniquet. This pocket's all my gauze pads and stop the bleeds and chest vent. So if I need to do all my trauma stuff, it's right here. Back here I have gloves also that I can grab quickly. Here I have roll gauze, a magic marker for marking the time on the tourniquet, larger trauma shears. I have my chest vent, my NPA, and back here is my emergency blankets and my hand warmers. So basically all the same equipment, just in a smaller to-go pack that I can either attach to the outside of my backpack, or I can actually stick it in my backpack, or just carry it with me when I'm on the go in somebody else's vehicle. And again, this was available in black, but I did not get the black because of the fact that I did not want a dark color and having to fish through things. So I hope that helps. If you're going to be making up your own pack and what type of bags to pack, and just give you a little idea of how I organize things to get at. In the description, I'm going to have a complete list of everything that I have on me as far as a first aid kit in both the smaller pack and also my car pack. I hope this video helped. Like, again, disclaimer, I am not EMS, I am not a medical professional, but I did go through certification courses because the average EMT now is about anywhere from 10 minutes to a half an hour out, especially if you're in a rural situation, especially if they're busy and that EMT has to come from another town. When you're talking about especially trauma bleeds or heart attacks, seconds and minutes count to saving people's lives. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.